We're getting there.
Well, I mean,
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we're loud. Hi, hope y'all are doing well. My name's Dismuke. I am a voice actor with, oh gosh, we're so close, y'all. Come October, I'm gonna get to basically be a complete ass on Twitter, and every time somebody posts like a voice acting advice thread, I'm gonna be like, as someone with decades of experience in the industry, I think I have a unique perspective on this. Anyway, I've been a voice actor for 19 years. I started when I was 9 years old, and I'm 28. So if it were like 2 months later, I could tell y'all that I had decades of experience. And it's so ambiguous, you know? That could be 40 years for all y'all know. I could be a vampire. So I've worked on the likes of Full Metal Alchemist, My Hero Academia, Dr. Stone, Kaguya-sama Love is War, Fruits Basket, Blood Blockade Battlefront, Devil is a Part-Timer, and Ruby. I think that pretty much covers the big ones. And I've also done some anime directing. The one I'm most proud of is I directed and adapted scripts for Nambika. And then I have adapted scripts for Fairy Tail, Tokyo Ghoul, Attack on Titan. There's some I'm missing. Overlord.
Love that one.
Okay, yeah, I think that covers it. Yeah. If y'all have questions about the English version of your anime, I'm a pretty good person to ask. Do y'all have any questions about the English version of your anime? Good. Yes.
I forgot to ask you this last year, but what is one thing you connect with your character in My Hero Academia?
The love of home. You know, I used to, when I was a teenager, when I was actually his age, I would be like, gosh, I want to go somewhere, I want to do things. And these days, like, whenever I'm out doing things, I'm like, I want my cave. Teenage Aaron especially, and honestly, more recent Aaron, had severe social/performance anxiety. Anime conventions have always been an exception for me because at the first convention that I went to, I was really nervous. And I remember I was like sitting between Colin Clinkenbeard and Travis Willingham. I was like a 13-year-old, and it was, a room full of people, and it was opening ceremonies, and everybody was going to introduce themselves, and I was having the dread, and I was like, I don't think I can do it. Can you introduce me to Travis? And he was like, dude, like, just say you're nervous. Just tell them your name and say you're nervous. They'll eat it up. And I was like, what do you mean? And so I did it. I was like, my name's Aaron, I'm Al, and I'm really nervous. And then they all went, oh, and I've hated that sound ever since, first of all. But after that, I realized that people at anime conventions are generally a lot nicer than regular people.
Yeah.
Especially in that they had a sort of a premature good opinion of me without knowing better. Here I'm not too nervous, but whenever I would have to like read like a passage from a book out loud in class, my voice would quaver, my hands would shake, I would begin to sweat. So if any of y'all have had that experience, I completely relate. Especially if I would have to read or perform something that I had done myself, it's like my own words, gosh, that would just freak me out. I can very much relate to that aspect of Tamaki. I remember, I was nervous about the audition, and then I realized, well, great. Normally you're supposed to silence your nervousness in order to do your audition well, but in this case, it was a very simple case of just channeling it. Yep. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do y'all have any other questions? Yes?
How old were you when you voiced Honey's little brother in Orville?
I must have been like, I'm gonna say like 15, 16. Definitely at that age where I think it was like shortly after we did the Conqueror of Shambhala movie for Fullmetal Alchemist, which is there was a YouTube video that was out at the time that was just clipped the climactic scene of Ed and Al being split up on this giant ship, and Al does a lot of emotional screaming, and the video was entitled "The Death of Aaron's Voice," and it like was basically like a highlight reel of every single time my voice cracked during that monologue. I don't know if that's still up, but whoever did that, you're funny. That's all I got. Yeah. So yeah, it was right around then. Luckily, Chica didn't scream too much. Yeah. Yes.
So with the aspect with My Hero, your character there, Senku, I feel like it's a whole lot different. And hearing you speak, in person, it's like so obvious, like, wow, and it's just like it's so much more confident.
Yeah. Yeah, Senku's a lot more confident than me.
So when you go in there, how do you psych yourself up?
Oh gosh. At the beginning, I think I was really determined to. I was kind of on the back foot with Senku at the beginning.
Get excited.
Yeah. I think I was just determined to like sounds like what I thought was cool because I thought Senku was cool, and I think my better performances come when I forget about that and I start instead thinking about what Senku thinks is cool. Because what makes Senku so cool is that he's an incredibly enthusiastic person who's really good at what he does. Yeah, so like what's cool about him has nothing to do with his ego and has everything to do with his interests, namely, scientific advancement, and just, yeah, cool futuristic stuff. And then also the other thing that makes him cool is that he is willing to manipulate people, but does so in such a obvious, naked way that like you can't really be mad at him. They're like, are you blackmailing me? And he's like, yeah, I'm blackmailing you. That's it. So yeah, and honestly, that's the side of me that actually aligns with Senku. So like, my anxiety aligns with Tamaki, and then my mischievous sadism.
He is a little.
That's what I'm gonna go with. Not sadism, y'all, but mischievous sadism. Like a psychological tickle attack.
Every now and then, the other characters are just like, oh.
That's kind of how I'll act with my friends, So yeah, there's that. Oh gosh. That's a tall order to fill. No, I think I'll give it to Dr. Stone. I really like Dr. Stone. It's a super smart show. And it has managed to make me feel a much wider range of emotions than I thought anything vaguely educational possibly could. So yeah, I'll give it points for that one too. Close runner-up would be Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I'm Leo Watch in that, and it's like New York City. It's Men in Black, but as an anime, and the good guys don't wear suits so much as they are a menagerie of freaks. Yeah, but good freaks. Good freaks. Yeah.
So when you're doing the English versions, do you work with the Japanese show creators who travel to Japan to do the work, or do you do it here in America?
Here in America, yeah. And there are times where we'll get to have some collaboration. Gosh, I want this thing to come out. I've been working on a thing recently where I've had a lot of direct collaboration with the Japanese client, and I've gotten to really like confer with them about the intended meaning for every single line. Like every line. Usually you don't get to do that much. Usually I can have a little bit of talk back with the translator. Like me and the translator of Attack on Titan, I would love for y'all, if I could teleport the translator for Attack on Titan in here, just so that they could like complain to y'all about how often I would email them. That would be great. And it's usually like I'm like I think you're wrong about this, and this is why I think they didn't actually dismantle the elevators of Trost after they finished dealing with the civil internal strife, but in fact they activated the elevators of Trost because you see Eren Yeager closed that gate with a full seal using his Titan's hardening ability. And so how could they possibly reopen the gate? They would need a battering ram. I don't see any battering rams. They must have activated the elevators. Anyway, and they're like, gosh, man, like, it's one word. Can you let it go? And I'm like, no, I'm right. Yeah. So that's probably why the translators are hard to get a hold of. You're welcome. Yes.
One thing I really loved when watching My Hero Season 4 for the first time was seeing the friendship between Amajiki and Mirio. I really loved that dynamic that you had.
Yeah.
That you two had. And I was wondering what it was like, because then I watched Dr. Stone, and I was like, it's them again!
Hey.
What was that like from your perspective when you realized you get to have such a similar... What's the name?
Fajardo.
Oh, Rico Fajardo, yeah.
Like realizing you were going to have such a similar kind of dynamic again with Fajardo.
Both times are really interesting because like Rico was like perfectly cast as both of those characters. And I really like, and me and Rico are good friends, and I think most of the directors know it. And so a lot of the time I feel like I get cast because they're like, who would be a good friend to Rico? oh yeah, him and Eren are friends. Bring in Eren. Like, I honestly wonder about that. So yeah, that's been a real profitable friendship for me, is what I'm getting at. No, yeah, I love working alongside Rico. He is such an awesome, earnest energy that he brings to every character he does. And especially with what he does, what Mirio does for Tamaki, is very similar to what Rico does for everyone who is in acting, especially newer actors. Like a lot of actors will tell you that like when they were getting their start, like Rico's one of those people who's like always there to get coffee with you and give you some advice. Yeah, it's totally that Mirio vibe. Like you can just imagine Mirio being happy to like talk to and coach some of the underclassmen, kind of thing. Yeah. And yeah, he's just always super strong to work off of. If he's recorded before me, then I know that I'm gonna have some reads come at me that completely surprise me yet completely feel right, which is the dream. Because like I think so. This is a philosophy I have about acting in general. It's there's the serviceable line usually. Like there's the read that feels right and does not break immersion for any of the people watching, and then there's the better than right line or read that's like something that you would never expect, that like puts this new twist on it, or just adds that extra element of liveliness to it. And he's really good at finding those. Yeah. Oh, and when he finds those, it helps me to find my own, is what I was getting at there. I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Mine's kind of a two-parter.
Sure.
One you're more known for, one you're less known for. Going into the classroom of the elite, your Ike, what were your thoughts pre and post? And Love is War, the one you're more known for, going in without pre and post thoughts.
Okay. All right. So, Classroom of the Elite is what you said?
Ike, you're one of the three quote-unquote idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh. Ayu is awesome, or Afia Ayu. She's the director for Classroom of the Elite. And honestly, like, I just had fun making jokes with her. Mostly we made fun of my character. He truly is a fool. And he does a lot of the, how do I put this? He's a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a slightly better than Mineta. That'll give y'all who haven't seen it context. Yeah. So we laughed at him as best we could. And then my feelings going in was like, this guy's got cool hair, and my feelings going out was like, all right. I see you, sir. Where's your mother? She needs to talk to you. And then Shidogane for Kaguya, we very recently, over the course of the pandemic, dubbed first season 2 and then season 1 of Kaguya-sama. And that was such an honor to be part of. Gosh, where to start with that? I feel like this often, but I feel like I was. How am I gonna put this? I feel like this is a good feeling to have, but I felt like I might be the weakest actor out of the main cast in it, which means that every time I get to go in and other people have recorded first, I get to get inspired by them, which is always awesome. Much better than feeling like you're the best person in the cast and like other people are dragging you down. But at the same time, it makes you a little bit anxious. And so with season 2, Morgan, God bless her, was a constant source of reassurance as well as like inspiration for funny reads to do. Morgan LeRae directed season 2. And then through a whole bunch of shenanigans, she was unable to direct season 1 when we went back to do that. And so they were like, well, she was like, hey, could you direct season 1? And I was like, I haven't directed in years. And she's like, well, you know, maybe they could find someone, probably. And I'm like, just someone? And I had this like horrible vision in my head of like some director who like didn't really care or didn't like know the show that well, like taking every first take that I did and being like, oh yeah, that was great. We'll stick it on the fridge, moving on. And so I agreed to do it mostly so I could be sure that I would direct myself and therefore get to spend a lot of time on it. And that was probably a mistake because like episodes that were supposed to take 5 hours to record, I spent like 10 hours recording myself, just doing the same reads again and again and again. But I'm really proud of the results. I think it's really funny. There's a series of Kaguya-sama dub clips on YouTube that I highly recommend. If you look up Kaguya dub, you'll see it's like You Are Not Immune to Kaguya dub, stuff like that. Yeah, that single clip video has done more advertising for us than any other source. And I love them for it, whoever posted that. I recommend it if you're curious about that show. So coming out of it, I was very proud. Going in, I was a little nervous. I guess that's me with every role, though. Yes. You know what? Y'all play rock, paper, scissors. And the loser, I'll never answer their question. I'm joking.
Well done.
They tied? Sorry, I won't answer either of your questions. I'm just kidding. Okay, round 2, fight! All right.
What's your favorite park in My Hero? It doesn't necessarily have to be Compies.
Shinso's.
Yeah. I agree with
I love it because it's a total plot breaker. It's like, okay, what if Shinso had fought Overhaul? Hey, stop that. Why would I? It's so fun. Like, it would be that would be like the Shinso. If he got his spin-off show, it would be One Punch Man, basically. You know? Hey, cut that out. Like, oh, you forced me. Oh, this was to be a duel for the ages. I love it. Yeah. You who was vanquished. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's especially exciting when it's Toonami, you know, especially like I got to go to I was at a con, like my first con since COVID, like 3 weeks ago, and Dr. Stone was still airing. And so like one Saturday, after doing all my con stuff, I just came into the hotel, I turned on the TV, and I was like, huh, I wonder if it's on Toonami. And I clicked onto Toonami, and there it was. It's so cool. Yeah, that'll never get old. Yeah, it's very exciting even now. Good question, thank you. Yes?
So what was it like growing up as a voice actor? You started when you were 12, and like, watching you younger.
I started when I was 9. Yeah, I did Alphonse when I was 11. So, you know, that's when I got my role that had the potential to turn me into a, you know, psychotic, washed up, has-been pseudo child star. It's been really cool. There was a point where I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it. Like, I'm not a theater major, I'm a history major with a minor in poli-sci and English, because I thought I was gonna go to law school. And then I won a short story contest, part of a class that my English minor was doing. And that made me think maybe I could do a script adaptation. And so then I got a gig doing script adaptation. And once I got that gig, I was like, okay, well, forget the law school. I also talked to several lawyers. And I was like, you know, I was thinking about being one of those lawyers who like works on like civil rights cases and tries to, you know, make the world a better place. And they're like, no, you don't want that. You should do oil or gas. And I was like, well, that's not as exciting for me. Anyway, I ended up basically like, I think I sort of told myself that I should do something practical, all the way up until the moment that I actually saw a path where I could continue to be creative full-time. And that was not I'm not a full-time voice actor, and full-time voice actors don't, they kind of exist. If you have a voice like Kellen Goff, he's Overhaul, or Damon Mills, he's Frieza, and like, both of them are also just a menagerie of monsters and everything, and they're also like deep voice guys and teenage guys, and if you have one of those voices and you work really hard and study really hard, you can probably be a full-time voice actor. Most of us, though, have to do something else. Rico is a full-time actor, but he makes most of his money off of doing commercial gigs, and live-action commercial gigs in particular. So, all that's to say, it was very exciting for me whenever I could justify pursuing voice acting because I had the script adaptation gig. And I've completely forgotten your question. I hope that was relevant to it. Great. Cool. What was it? Oh, yeah. I'll throw in that it is weird, like, ego-wise. Like, I definitely grew up addicted to, like, the feeling of, like if a room fills up to hear you talk or doesn't, it had a significant impact on my feeling of self-worth, and that kind of thing. And it's varied over time, you know, because like when I was 13, 14, that was when FMA was super, super big. And so 13, 14, 15, 16 is still the most famous I've ever been. And now I'm 28 and I've done a lot of other work, which I would hope is a bit better than the work I did as an 11-year-old. Oh, thank you. You know, it's okay. But it's not part of the overall piece of art that's most important that I've done. And so that's been like a weird thing to come to terms with, I guess. But overall, like I wouldn't trade this journey for anything else, I don't think. Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh gosh. Oh, it's the one I actually ended up editing this line myself. We like paused on it, and then I came back to do it. And the line was the translation or the original adapted line was a lot like the translation, and it said, "Yes, I am one who swallows even the sun. That's why I am." No. It's, "Yes, I am one who swallows even the sun. I am the Sun Eater." And it was the Sun Eater, mind you. And I was like, I don't know about this line. Could I try to come up with something? And Colin was like, "Yeah, sure, you can give it a shot." And I was like, okay, I'm not coming up with anything. Can I come back? And we ended up like calling the session there, and then I was driving back, like just working it in my head. And you know, mind you, I'm an adaptive scriptwriter, so I adjust lines like this for a living. And so I was thinking all about it, and like, it's not "I am one who eats even the sun." Like that's like so not what they meant. And I think what they meant was actually based on a line that Mirio had said to him earlier. And the line Mirio said was, "I think you can shine," and it's the question he asked at the beginning of the episode, "Can I shine too? Can I shine as brightly as you?" And Mirio at some point is like, "You've got a light too, man." And so instead of "Yes, I am one who swallows even the sun, I am the Sun Eater," what I came up with was, "Yes, I've got a light that can swallow even the suns. That's why I'm Sun Eater." And so I love that line because I, you know, managed to find tie-ins to the earlier lines, but also because it's one where I picked the words myself. Yeah. Yes.
How do you like playing Lucifer and Devil as a timer?
That was really fun.
And have you heard or been in talks with a new season 2 possibly coming?
Nothing yet. Lucy was the first. He was the first sort of villainous guy that I got to play. He's the first person who ever like got deranged, and I was like, finally, I'm a villain. This is awesome. I get to dig my teeth into some true menace, you know? And then he gets like punched all the way to Texas from Japan, and after that, he becomes the main character's roommate. And I was like, all right, well, we tried. We'll be a villain someday, Aaron. There was something else about it. That said, you know, he doesn't get called Arushihara that much, even though that's his real name. And, you know, it was very hard to explain to my grandma when people were like, "I really liked you as Lucifer in Devil is a Part-Timer." And she was like, "Aaron, did you play the devil in one of your cartoons?" I was like, no, I lived with the devil. It's not the same devil. It was that was tough. Yeah. It's a funny show though. All the way in the back.
What do you think would be the most underrated anime you worked for?
Nabika. Yeah, see, nobody who's seen it has neutral opinions about it. Oh, how dare you?
I love it, I'm kidding.
It's a comedy about some very sparkly boys in prison, and they're constantly escaping. A lot of shenanigans, a lot of hoodwinks. It's a knee slap and good time. Highly recommend. I like saying like words from the 20s. A lot of hoodwinks. I'm gonna end up saying one of those words, thinking it's cute, and finding out that it has some like horrible, twisted past, and was once a slur. I'm scared of that. Oh well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Yes.
First of all, you're doing great.
I try.
Like directing an anime. Like we heard about like live action directing, but what's it like directing an animation?
So basically, you've got an engineer next to you, and they're really running the show. And you say things like, all right, you tell the person about their character, and they get into a booth that's in front of you, and there's a window through which they can see you and the engineer. And then you basically, you'll know when you were kids and you would play house, and you would like third person say, and then they made breakfast. And then the mommy and daddy made breakfast, and then they fed the dog. You say, okay, now we're gonna watch your first line. This is where you burst in through the wall and say, the time for my revenge has come. And what you really mean is, excuse me, John, could you please play that first line? But you don't say that. That's not how we do it. We just say, now we're gonna watch this, and then John does it. And you don't say thank you. It would take up too much time, you see.
On with the show.
And then you're like, and then you watch it in Japanese, and then you're like, all right, give it a shot. And then John, he'll place beeps so that the actor knows when to go. And again, no one says thank you to John. And then so the actor will hear beep, 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 and then he'll do the line. But he'll flub it in the middle. He'll be like, he'll stammer, and then he'll say it the other part again wild, and I'll be like, no worries, we'll fix that right up. And what I mean is that John will go in and he'll edit out the flub and then move the line to its correct spot where it actually needs to be. And you won't say thank you. No, then I'll say thank you. It's all, when the engineer does fixes is when we thank them profusely. And I guess the real trick to the directing side is whenever there is a motivation that the actor has trouble accessing, I try to give them as much backstory as I can. And sometimes I'll make up backstory to give them. I'll be like, maybe read this, like, I think maybe the two of you like went to school together, and I think maybe you were in love with them back then. So like, let that sort of, inform your read here. And maybe you'll feel a little bit more betrayed by that time they stole your tea kettle or whatever it is that happened. So that's one thing that I'll do. And the other big thing that I do is I make sure that the order of information is affecting how words are inflected. The biggest sin that happens in anime dubs that I see that's like a pet peeve that just like makes steam come out of my ears and nose is whenever one person inflects a word and then the next person inflects the same word. It shows that they're not listening to each other. So like, if there's two guys next to each other, and they got binoculars, and they're like, and one of them's like, the enemy's coming at us with tanks. And then the other guy, if his line is, those are Sherman tanks, he needs to inflict the word Sherman. The enemy's coming at us with tanks. Those are Sherman tanks. And then it makes sense and it sounds good, right? But what happens all too often is the first guy's like, the enemy's coming at us with tanks. And then the other guy's like, those are Sherman tanks. And I want to just punch him through the screen. Like, are you listening? Yeah, they're tanks. I just said they're tanks. And that's really the director's main job. If you don't do that, then you're a bad director. There, I said it. Come at me. Come on.
Yeah, man, rebel against the system. I feel it.
Yeah.
You piqued my interest. I'm curious, when you were in that like 13, 14, 15 age, Full Metal was super, super popular. Were your friends at the time like watching it and they know you were in it? Or did that not really happen?
There were definitely people at my school who watched it, and how it would usually go is like I'd meet them, we'd get to talking over the course of a couple weeks, and then one day they'd come in and they'd be like, "Wait a second, are you in this?" I'd be like, "Yeah," and then they'd be over it in like 2 days, you know. That's how it'd go. Yeah. Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
I'm still losing my mind over the inflection thing that you just said.
Oh, yeah.
I'm never gonna watch anything the same and not be angry.
Sorry if I ruined your anime for you.
I'll be okay. Like, your voice acting arsenal is amazing, but you have a character. Yeah, you know.
Thank you. That's so nice. You see right through me? Oh no.
You're transparent, but I'm sorry, I'm done. Do you have a character in like any media that's like your dream character to voice?
Oh gosh.
Even if it's already been voiced by somebody?
Huh. It's so tough because the characters that I love most, part of the reason I love them is because of the actor I already saw, like, portray them. Gosh.
Spike.
Pardon?
Spike
Spike? Seagull?
from Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, I could never.
Too much.
That's too.
Sounds so good though.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Yeah, if they did a origin story where he had a nice squeaky voice like mine, I'd be in. Yeah. Spike Seagull goes to high school. I'm there. For some reason, I still can't sound like an adult. I'm 28. I don't know. Yeah, that is an awesome character, though. Yeah, I'll have to think on that one. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's a good question. I'm just not ready for it. I haven't read enough comics. Because that's how you would want to answer, right? Okay, was there somebody else on this side? Yeah? Yeah.
That was a little question that.
That's okay.
Like working on Dead Man Wonderland.
Oh, that was really fun. So on Dead Man Wonderland, I worked with Joel McGonagall. McDonald. Joel McDonald. Not McGonagall. Y'all better not tell him about this. Or do. You know what? Let him know. Aaron called you a Hogwarts professor.
It's on tape.
He works on Borderlands now, which is awesome. Like he's the director for Gearbox as they do the Borderlands stuff. So that was really fun. And what was really fun about it was that it was the first time I got to like sound like someone who wasn't even younger than me. A lot of the time when I was a teenager, people were casting me based on hearing voice references of Al. And they're like, "All right, we got a baby boy." And I was like, "I'll do my best." And I would, squawk as best I could through it with, it's actually harder. It was harder back then to do a higher pitched voice than it is now because puberty would make it where when I caught up to this sort of range, it would even squawk up periodically. Yeah. So, what was your question? It's gone.
Oh.
I'm so bad, y'all. Oh, right. Yeah, so it was fun. It was another case where I thought I might be a bad guy, and then no, he's got a heart of gold. He's trying to help his sister. You don't like him? He's trying to save his sister. She's been through a lot, okay? Everybody has. It's Dead Man Wonderland. That's a fair point. Okay, well, actually, no. You know what? No, I'm not just gonna accept this. No, he sacrifices everything to help out his sister. He also gets left for dead by Gonta. Do you remember this? He gets shot in the stomach, and then he's like, "Gonta, you gotta run!" And Gonta, the guy with superpowers, I'm just a jobber, mind you, in this show. Like, I'm one of the only people without superpowers, and I've been shot in the stomach, and I'm like, "Run!" And then the main character, who has crazy good powers, he's like, "Okay, bye." And he never even mentions my name again. He's good. Actually, you see a clip where my sister is nursing me back to health.
She's not giving it.
All right, good talk, good talk. Next? No. That was good. That was a good trip through memory lane. Yeah? Oh, geez. Right now it's Mob Psycho 100.
Yes.
I really like how they sort of realized that audiences were getting wise to the fact that the main character has plot armor and isn't gonna lose the fight. And so they were like, well, what if we just make it where that's not the dramatic question? Like, instead of the dramatic question being, is the main character gonna win? Which we know the answer is yes. We knew it regardless of how we presented the fight. Let's make the main question one of like, is the main character gonna lead a fulfilled life? Are the people around him going to be good friends, or are they gonna be manipulators? Questions like that, which are like super interesting in the context of this high budget shonen show with awesome fighting. So yeah, I was a big fan of it, and it's funny.
Yeah.
To boot. I love it whenever funny shows have strong dramatic moments. That does a lot for me. Yeah.
So you started adapting scripts for dubs. Has that affected how you want to act for them, or do you like simply write them from your acting?
I wish I could. But no, I'm totally that actor who's like, could we change that word? Could we swap that out? I feel like this character would use a contraction there. Is that okay? And so yeah, I'm totally annoying like that. But whenever they need lines changed, I'm also helpful, so that helps. Yeah, I'm better at timing as well. So the timing aspect, I'm able to completely like leave that to my like instinctive brain. That's all muscle memory. And when I say timing, you know, I don't know if everybody's thought about this, but with dubs, the animation is already done. And so we are obliged to hitch whenever the Japanese originally hitched, regardless of whether our sentence structure would arrange the ideas in the same order or in the same way. So a lot of the anime acting consists of coming up with an excuse to pause where you normally wouldn't. And I've gotten pretty good at that because I've come up with a lot of ways to justify it whenever I'm writing lines and I don't want to keep rewriting the same line. I'm like, okay, well, if they say it like this, it'll be fine. And then hopefully they can think of what I was thinking of. But that's their prop. Yes.
Sorry, since I like to do art and write, like the last question you answered, I have trouble like straying away from the two. Have you ever been refused to change your line?
Yeah, totally. Sometimes the director's like, no, I think the line needs to be like it is. And yeah, I just gotta respect that, and do my best with whatever it is that they see. And it's important to recognize that the director is looking at the whole script. They know they've seen more episodes than you. They know what is coming and what this line needs to accomplish in the greater picture. And so it's important to trust them and not fight back just because something feels right to you in that moment. Sometimes a weaker line or a weaker read in the moment creates a stronger story in the long run. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever watched older classic shows like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh? And you ever think now, though, if you had to like recast yourself as the character, who would it be?
Oh man. If I could be in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would be the bug guy who threw Exodia.
Weevil.
Yeah, Weevil.
Don't ask me what voice I would do for that. I'd have to practice that at home. But yeah, that's who I would want to try. Because that guy's hilarious to me. Oh gosh, I would love to... No. Pegasus, I couldn't do Pegasus. Pegasus would be Michael Tatum, right?
Yes.
That'd be awesome.
Yes.
We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
Pokemon. Let's see. I probably want to be one of the Pokemon. Which one would be fun? Huh?
Squirrel Squad, come on.
I feel like I don't know what Mudkip sounds like, but Mudkip is the most memed. And so I feel like that would be the easiest role to like leverage into other roles or to use to get into cons, you'd be like, listen, I'm the voice of Mudkip. And they'd be like, have you done more than like 5 sounds in the whole show? And you're like, just ask the kids if they like Mudkips, okay? And you're like, apparently they do. Anyway, I hope that meme doesn't have any secret meaning. I'm literally like living in terror of like referencing the wrong meme at the wrong time. Anyway, yes. Can you project a bit more? I'm so sorry. Or I can come closer. It's the AC turned on right when you started talking.
Yeah. I've talked to several different VAs, and they all say kind of the same thing. It's like kind of put yourself out there. But what are your thoughts, opinions, and like things and like requirements you think you need to go into voice acting and whatnot?
Okay. Okay, so it was, what are my thoughts and opinions on what it takes to get into voiceover? So there's 2 paths into voiceover these days. Well, there's 3. One is you nag the 3 big dub studios, Bang Zoom, Sentai, Funimation. They all have open audition opportunities that exist. They have colossally long waiting lists to try an audition for them. You have to be local at the moment when they do call you eventually. So like Funimation before COVID, it was like maybe a year and a half you'd have to wait after getting on the list. But after a year and a half, you're guaranteed to get a chance to go in on an audition. Or you were before COVID. I don't know what the deal is right now. I know they're moving and stuff. It could be a bit longer. Bang Zoom used to do competitions at conventions, so I think that's how Zach Aguilar got his start. He literally like showed up at an anime convention, entered into a contest, and then in front of a panel full of people, beat out all the other auditioners, which is crazy. Like, talk about a trial by fire. I would have failed that because social anxiety. Oh my gosh, I would have failed that. But the other 2 ways are you go to school for acting and you get an agent right after you finish school. And then you work in your area for a while with your agent. And then once you've built up a resume, you move to LA or to Dallas or maybe to New York. I think New York might still have a dub studio, but I think their studio's smaller and doesn't do as much. And then you swap agents and you get to start, like your agency will start to send you auditions that you can swing at. And the school route, I think it's important to incorporate something from the school route no matter what. Whether it be you practice by doing community theater or you just take a online acting class, once, even just doing one that's like a 6-week course once a year or something like that can do you a lot of good. And it's what the people that you're up against are doing. And I would contend, so like whenever I got into Funimation, I was a 9-year-old who knew the right people. My cousin just got me in because nobody was auditioning for Funimation back then. Nobody knew about them. These days, I think it would be like morally wrong to get your cousin in because there are so many people who have been working really hard towards that goal and they deserve to be in the front of line. The people who've been going to school for acting, who've been taking the classes, who've been doing community theater, like they're the people that have built up the skill and put in the time and therefore, in my opinion, like deserve that shot the most. And so that's the person you want to be if you want to get into voiceover. So that gets to the very last route is one which is sort of getting bigger these days, which is just there's a huge indie online scene. And that's the most accessible. You can do it from anywhere. There are a lot of open auditions that any voice actor can put in for. all you have to do is get yourself a microphone, an interface, or a USB microphone and a laptop, and you soundproof your closet, and then you've got yourself a little home studio, and you can audition for anything online. Yeah, and I think that route is a good way to start to practice, to start to hear what you sound like specifically in voiceover, and it's a great thing to pair with you're starting to take acting classes. Because then you're not just learning to be an actor, but you're also learning the technical aspect of being a voice actor specifically. Yeah, that's all I got. Talk to me later if you are interested in being a voice actor. Talk to me, and I will give you a Twitter handle of someone to follow. Belshaber Rusape. I'm sure I butcher his name every time I say it, but Bel has a really good pulse on that indie scene. And he, at least the last time I checked, he was sharing a lot of open auditions. And he's got like a network of people that he knows that can help you get into it. Yeah.
So in regards to the network,
Uh-huh.
so what was your reaction when you went through the recent story where, you got the king of demons, you can destroy the world with a snap of a finger, and he's like, I really want to sell these pepper fries. We got to get the sales going for the third quarter. That was the funniest thing ever. This immediate contrast.
Yeah. I think that's like the heart of why it's like an uplifting story, right? Is because it says to you, like, no matter where your job is right now, like no matter what you're doing and where society has told you that puts you in the social ladder or whatever, like life is what you make of it. If you like work hard, and not just hard, but like have fun with it, like find a way to have fun with whatever it is that you're doing, if you're gonna do it, then you can like go pretty far with it. I think that moral is like both like, it's like funny, it's freeing. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I find him, I found his attitude about becoming, he's like, today I'm shift manager, tomorrow I'll be the emperor of Japan, and after that, the world. It's just so cool. I think they will. Mind you, Lucifer does not work. He might start to do boosting for some like ranked MOBA game. I think that's the closest he's ever going to get to a job, and he's going to cheat whenever he boosts. Oh my gosh, boosters cheat. I don't boost people at video games, y'all. Don't worry. I don't know if everybody knows. Raise your hand if you know what boosting is. Boosting is where you hire someone to help improve your rank at a competitive video game by playing on your account for you. That's what I think Lucifer would do if he was going to get a job. Yeah, and I think he would use something called a script, which is a computer assister that auto-targets your enemies and auto-dodges for you. Yeah. Yes?
How do you feel that the Devil's part-timer is getting
So excited. I love that show. I love that character. It's so weird that it took this long. Like, I have no idea why it didn't come out sooner, because people love it. And it's really, really good. And there's a lot of manga. So hopefully we get like a lot. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
So, what were a couple of your favorite experiences when working with Ruby?
On Ruby?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've thought about Ruby. I think, so my very favorite thing about Oscar is how much he gets beat up. because right when Oscar first came out, a lot of fans created something called the Oscar Protection Squad, and they would write about it in the comments on the videos. They would say, "Oscar Protection Squad, unite!" And the Oscar Protection Squad failed, y'all. Because Oscar has not been protected. He is battered and bruised. Every character has punched him, deliberately or not, just about. He's been electrocuted. He's been, he's been shot. He's been punched by his friends. Surely he's been cut by someone. Yeah, he's really just had a hard time of it. And somebody made a video that's of the song "It's a Hard Knock Life" from Annie.
Yes.
It's a hard knock life for us. And they punctuated each impact of the scenes where he gets hit with the drum part. I highly recommend it. It's a hoot.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Carrie Shawcross. I was like, "What's the deal, Carrie?" I forget what he said. I think he just said like a sort of emoji thing. Yeah. So that's been really fun about him. And yeah, I also really liked getting to play Ozpin speaking through Oscar, and I was really honored that they trusted me to do that, like right off the bat. I hadn't ever done that sort of, that more polished, aristocratic voice, and so I have no idea why they thought I could do it, but I think it went all right. Thank you. Yeah, so it was literally trial by fire. Like, they didn't ask me in advance, "Hey, do you think you can do this?" They were like, "So we're gonna have you do this." I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me hear some Shannon." Luckily, I'd watched all of Ruby. Yeah, so I had a good idea of him and of what he was about before I had to do Ozpin through Oscar. Yeah, so that was really fun. Yes. Hit me. I have thought about cosplaying as my characters, but that's probably as far as it'll go. Unless, if I were gonna cosplay anyone, I would maybe do Senku's just his hair and a lab coat. Side note, the best Senku cosplay I've ever seen, he taped 3 heads of lettuce to the top of his head.
I saw that.
So good. So good, and he committed to it. Day 3, same heads of lettuce. Little more wilted. A lot more wilted. And then Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. That is a hidden gem, I would say. It's really cute, and the animation style is very different from what you're used to seeing in anime. From the number of nods and yeses, I guess it's not a hidden gem, it's just a gem. Okay, great. It's about a ghost who haunts a toilet. So that's, for those of you who don't know. And my character is like the definition of a himbo. That was really fun because so I used to work with Chris Bevins a lot. He's a director. He directed Devil is a Part-Timer, among many other things. And he was sort of the guy who used me regularly. Like, he's one of the reasons that I kept plugging along as a voice actor. And he moved to town, and then I had a spree where every director cast me as a main character once and then didn't use me for anything after that. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but at least they're not telling each other not to use me. And I was kind of nervous about it. And then Jade Saxton started directing, and she started using me as smaller characters in a show every season. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me to repeatedly work with the same person. Even though it was smaller roles, it was just really nice. And that's one of them, Natsuhiko, because she directed Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. And so we had a bit of a rapport by that point, and that was fun too. Yeah. Yes.
Out of all the students in My Hero, the hero course, who do you think deserves it the least?
Who deserves to be there the least?
Yes.
Tail guy.
Tail guy?
Ooh.
Not Minetta?
They already say that.
Minetta has a more useful ability
Yeah.
for apprehending villains. I mean, yeah, he should just be arrested, but like skill-wise, I think he's a more useful asset.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I should have just said Minetta now. The more I think about it.
How did he get in?
Pardon?
How did he get in?
Tail guy? What's his name?
Ojiro.
Ojiro.
What about the twinkling guy, the one with the belly button? I
That's way more useful than a tail.
I don't know.
Cannot
I
stop
don't know. That's debatable.
If you had a rampaging villain who had an unknown power, and you had to pick between naval laser and someone with a tail.
His combat abilities are way better than belly button laser.
The belly button laser is a force of raw destruction. I mean,
At least it's a
Belly
ranged
button.
attack.
yeah, and it's ranged, you know? I don't know, like, if you're gonna be melee, I feel like you should be just a little stronger than a tail. I mean, it's a thick tail.
Oh, God. You know what? I understand what you're saying now.
It's stronger for being a thicker tail,
Yeah.
as tails go. Yeah?
Every time he uses his naval laser though.
Within like 5
It's
seconds.
kind of like his own lip. So, what's the recoil there in Ojiro?
Well, look, I just need him to take down one villain, and then he can
Yeah.
go
He's just
throw
not
up if he
very-
wants.
he's not very smart.
In this hypothetical. I guess if I'm dealing with a horde of non-powered enemies, I would prefer Ojiro. Ojiro would make a better police officer, I think.
Oh.
Are they not?
Oh, I don't think so. But you have to go to
Wait, I'm sorry. They're allowed to use their guns, but not their quirks? Sorry, I've got a sleep powder I can emanate from my pores, but instead I'm gonna have to gun you down in the street.
You need a hero license to be able to use your quirk, so they would have to go to hero school.
Well, clearly we need some political reformation.
Yeah.
That's like.
In the back. Amajiki is recovering from psychological trauma primarily. Yeah, he's seeing the school provided therapist.
Mr. Ozawa.
It should be on the daily, but some days he just can't. So he doesn't always make it to therapy, you know?
Yeah.
So they'll text whenever, whenever he can't show up in person, he'll text the therapist a bit. Yeah. That's my headcanon anyway. Are we done?
It's 8 o'clock, so yes, sir.
It's been a blast. I'll take one more question. Thank you all so much. Okay, from a person who hasn't asked one yet. There you go.
What is your favorite scene? It doesn't have to be the one with you in it, but what is your favorite scene in Prison School?
I actually haven't seen any of Prison School. But that scandalous one,
All right,
Which
for me,
one?
it had to be the-
I'm sure they all are. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
For me, it had to be for the guy with the big nipple hair. It was just that scene for me.
He wasn't
Lady was
expecting that.
mesmerized with nipple,
Thank you.
Nothing else. It was just hilarious to me. I recommend you watch it.
All right. Yeah, I'll take that under advisement. Thank you for providing this imagery. I think we can tie that.
How she described everything, it sounded graceful. And I'm like, why does she have to make this sound graceful? It's just a man's nipple hair.
Well, we can tie that hair into a neat bow on this panel.
I mean,
Uh,
Are we gonna need to have like an 18 plus Q&A for you?
all right. Well, thank y'all so much for coming out. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, take care.